Just got finished at the title company closing one of my lease options here. This is actually my third payday on this particular property. Let's hop in the car and we're gonna go to the bank. I wanna get this bad boy in the bank, and I'm gonna tell you about the first two paydays that I had with this property and talk to you a little bit about the lease option strategy. So this check for $77,000 right here, this was actually the third payday that I had on this particular property. This was a single family house that I lease option. And a lease option is a really, really valuable strategy because you can do lease options with properties from single family houses all the way up into huge, large scale commercial properties. Same exact type of strategy. Basically, the idea behind the lease option is it's essentially a two-part agreement. It's kind of two simultaneous agreements. And you could be on the seller side or on the buyer side of the lease option. Both of them, whether on the buyer side or the seller side, both have very, very valuable benefits regardless of what side you're on. You can also do what's called a sandwich lease option, and that's where you're buying a property as a lease option and you're selling it on a lease option as well. So you can be on both the buyer's and the seller's side. The way a lease option works is, in this particular transaction, I was selling the house on a lease option strategy. So what I did is I sold the house to a buyer, and the buyer leased the house from me for a period of time. And then while he has the lease on the property, he also has the option to buy the property. An option is essentially a unilateral contract, which basically gives him the option to buy it, and he can buy it and he doesn't have to buy it, but I have to sell it if he chooses to buy it. So he's got a period of time where he can decide to exercise his option or not. So what he did is he was leasing the house from me for about 3 years. And the reason I say this is my third payday on this property is because when he got into this lease option strategy with me from the very beginning, he actually put down some down payment money for the right to do this deal. And he probably put down, I think it was like $3,000 or $4,000 or something to that effect. So my first payday was his non-refundable option consideration money for the right to option my property and to buy it in the future. My second paydays, I should say, is every month for the past 3 years, he's been renting the property to me. Well, this entire time, the past 3 years, I've been making around $225 a month cash flow on the property. So every single month, I'm still putting a positive $225 a month in my pocket. I've got to pay the taxes and insurance and the utilities and the mortgage payment and all that stuff, but I'm still cash flowing about $225 a month. So that's why I say this is my third payday right here, because finally, at the end of his period, he decided to exercise his option to buy the property. He went out, he got his own loan, and he actually bought the property from me, and now I've got the proceeds from selling my house. The great benefit of being in a seller's position on a lease option is basically it's a really great form of passive income, because in my situation, I was actually able to win either way. If he did buy the property, which he did, I get a large payday. But if he didn't buy the property, the beauty of being on the seller side of a lease option is you can actually request that the tenant is responsible for maintenance and repairs. So basically, for the last 3 years, I've been making $225 a month cash flow. I haven't had any maintenance and repair costs. I haven't had any management costs, and I haven't had any vacancy. So what I got was basically a completely maintenance-free, management-free, vacancy-free rental that cut out like 75% of the cost of operating rental for me. If he decided that he didn't want to buy the property, not a big deal. I just take the property back. I can do this again. I can sell it another way. I can do whatever I want with the property. But at least in that 3 years that he was owning it, I got a maintenance-free rental. So that's why it was a really great situation for me to be in on the seller side, because if he bought the property, I got a great payday. If he didn't buy the property, I still got a maintenance-free rental property that was completely hands-off, really, really easy source of passive income, still making $225 a month. Also, the entire time he's paying down my mortgage and the property is appreciating in value. So there's a lot of really, really valuable benefits from both the buyer side and the seller side on a lease option. The lease option strategy is definitely something you will want to learn, regardless if you want to do single family houses or large multifamily or just large scale commercial buildings. The lease option strategy is an excellent strategy to know.